I'm going to solve this polynomial inequality, which is section 4.4, problem number 24. So the first thing I need to do when I'm solving a polynomial inequality is I have to get all the terms on one side of the inequality sign. So I'm going to add 15x squared to both sides. And I'm going to have 3x cubed plus 15x squared is less than 0. You must get everything to one side and set the other side of the inequality equal to 0. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to look at this side of the inequality and treat it as if it were a function. So f of x equals 3x cubed plus 15x squared. And what I need to do is I need to find all of the zeros of this polynomial right here. So I'm going to look at this piece right here. I'm going to say, well, that could be 3x squared times x plus 5. I just factored out my common monomial. So I'm trying to find the zeros. That means I'm trying to find what sets y equal to 0. And I can see that I'm going to have a 0 here at x equals 0, and another 0 at x equals negative 5. Those zeros have divided my graph into intervals. I'm going to have a 0 here at negative 5, and another 0 at 0. So my graph is going to have 3 intervals. It's going to have this interval right here, this interval right here, and this interval right there. And if any number in an interval is positive or negative, it's going to be that way for every number in that interval. So I'm going to write my intervals right here underneath the number line that I drew. This interval here is the interval from negative infinity to negative 5. This interval here is the interval from negative 5 to 0. And this interval here is the interval from 0 to infinity. Well, I'm going to pick a number in my far left interval here, and I'm going to be kind of random about it. I'm going to pick negative 6. I'm going to pick that number right there in the interval that's on my far left. And I'm going to look at my polynomial here, and I'm going to say, well, if x is equal to negative 6, is my function going to be positive or negative? Well, I can see that negative 6 squared is going to be a positive number, and when I multiply it by 3, it's going to stay positive. But over here, negative 6 plus 5 is going to be a negative number. A negative number times a positive number is going to give me a negative number. So every number in that interval there from negative infinity to negative 5 is going to be negative. Let's look at the interval from negative 5 to 0. I'll pick the number negative 1, usually a pretty easy number to work with. Well, if I substitute negative 1 in for x, this is going to be negative 1 squared, so that's going to be a positive number times 3. And I put negative 1 over here. Negative 1 plus 5 is going to be a positive number. A positive number times a positive number, because I'm multiplying this expression here times that expression there, is going to be a positive number. So I used negative 1. This is going to be positive. Finally, I'll look at my last interval, 0 to infinity, and I'll just pick positive 1. Well, positive 1 squared is going to be positive, times 3 is going to be a positive number. And positive 1 plus 5 is going to be 6. That's a positive number. And again, a positive number times a positive number. So if I use 1 here, this is going to be positive. So if I'm trying to get the answer to this inequality, where the values of y for this particular polynomial are less than 0, it's telling me this interval here is going to have all the negative numbers, so there it will be less than 0. This interval here is going to be positive. Positive numbers are greater than 0. This interval here is going to be positive. Positive numbers are greater than 0. So the answer to this inequality is the interval negative infinity to negative 5. And that has parentheses. Of course, negative infinity always has parentheses. If my inequality had said less than or equal to 0, then at negative 5, it would have been a bracket. That would have been covered. So look, I kind of graphed it over here on the left. You can see I put my y equals in there, 3x cubed plus 15x squared. I went zoom 6. I can kind of see my graph a little bit. I'm going to adjust it so you can see it a little bit better. So I've adjusted the window of the graph so we can see it a little bit more clearly. This is the window I figured out how to use. And as you can see, from the interval negative 5 going to the right, it's positive, positive, positive. It kind of goes up there a little bit off the graph. It kind of comes down. I have a touch right here at x equals 0, which makes sense if you think about it, because the multiplicity of this particular 0 is even, so it's a touch. So that continues going up. And the only part of the graph that is less than 0 is this interval right here, which is our infinity to negative 5 parentheses, because negative 5 is equal to 0. It is not less than 0.